Hey guys, wanted to give you an update on the channel and with the new direction that I'm taking it on the future. So I think this is the end of the traditional software engineer. That version of the job where you had to code everything by hand, that is over. And I think that one new paradigm that we're seeing today is the evolution of software developers into what I'm starting to call today the co-agentic engineer. And I think that this is a natural evolution of computer systems. At the beginning, if you've read anything about the evolution of computer software development, initially you had to do things very manually by hand. You had to do punch cards or write in machine language. And then computer languages appeared, and that was like a big shift. You no longer had to write low level code, but you had these abstractions on top of the computers. And then you had the tech stacks like Django or Ruby on Rails. That was another layer on top of the language itself that made you work faster. So I think what we're seeing today is just the natural next step of that, which is we're no longer touching the code or writing the code from scratch. We're giving instructions to a system that's writing the code for us. So I think it's a scary thought, but I personally have been in a journey the last, I would say, month or so, where I saw how good the systems have become. And the shift from the VS Code Copilot, just like writing code one snippet at a time, to the Claude CLI, where it's fully agent based. Agent meaning there's a list of tasks that are created, and the agent goes through each step with an orchestration inside where it's just like finishing those steps. So I think that it's not just the future. Any engineer that doesn't absorb or adapt to this change is going to fall behind. And I'm not talking about necessarily following every little release that OpenAI does or things like that. It's more like a mind shift where you're no longer afraid of delegating and reviewing the code that another entity produced. But I think it makes our development productivity and our throughput much higher. Some things that I'm going to focus on now on this new channel, which, as you've seen, rebranded from Zero to Cogentai, is tooling mastery, learning how to set up and work with AI tools. We're going to be looking at the security side of things, making sure how to test that the security is there. We're going to go onto the context communication, i.e., managing prompting and setting up the way to communicate with the systems. And finally, I think that it's very important that now we focus more on the architectural discipline rather than the low end side of the code. So, knowing the separation of concerns and configuration first thinking, those are the new skills that you as a developer have to have. And I've started like some projects that I had for a long time that I had shelved. And to be honest, I'm writing them so quickly and with good quality code. I think one of the main values from my old courses is that a lot of them were like very boilerplatey. That's not a word. But if you feed the agent or you start the agent with a boilerplate, it's much easier for the agent to write good code than if you just do vibe coding, which is, I think, has its place and it's good for people that are non-technical. But for software engineers, vibe coding is not a thing. I think it's more like boilerplate, foundational code that you can grab and put in place and then let the agent build on top of that. makes your quality of code that's been written better. But at the end of the day, none of the code should be committed to the repo without you seeing exactly the changes that you've done. And also making sure that when things are working, you commit the change and label it very clearly, because I've seen agents spin off in a rabbit hole where it completely broke the whole system or the unit test, because it went into this not hallucination necessarily, and you need to like control that. And sometimes the only way to really undo that is to revert the code. I'm thinking about the education system in general, not just my courses, and I'm going to be taking down all the Udemy courses that I have because I don't think they're relevant anymore. I'm creating this new channel, and I'm going to be creating not necessarily courses but collections of videos that talk about these different areas. But I also think that universities need to start taking notice and really stepping up, because the software engineers that we're forming today are just learning outdated concepts. So I think that we all need to like work together to make sure that the new engineers that are coming up have the right training. So I think it's a new era. Long live from zero. It had a good run, but now we're now going to be focusing on Cogentai and making you all co-agentic software engineers. So stay tuned, more content to come.